Yes, we're going to talk about. Hi, Mary. Sorry, I didn't even say hi. We're going to talk about some serious stuff. I tried to give it a funny title. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I don't know if anybody got the song reference from the title that I put for this scope, but it's it's a song reference. Um so yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff, some serious stuff today. I'm gonna try to be lighthearted about it. I don't want to make it too heavy or too serious, even though it is a serious topic. But yeah, I think it's something that needs to be talked about. So so hopefully more people will come in. But I don't know. It's not a topic that a lot of people like to talk about. Hi, Bagwag. Welcome. Thank you for the hearts. So, okay. So I think yesterday I was talking about things that you can do. I don't know if the replay is still up. It might not be up. But yesterday I was talking about things that you can do to make yourself feel better. Hi, Reek. Welcome. So when you're feeling really down and things are not going great, there are things that you can do to make yourself feel better. I think we talked about, getting a drink of water, cleaning your room, going for a walk, things like that. Things that are very, very simple. But sometimes there are situations when things get really, really bad. So I'm going to talk to you guys about a situation that I was in recently where things got pretty intense. So I've mentioned a couple times, I haven't gotten into it in depth, my doctor dropped me at the end of last year. And my health has not really improved much since going through Lyme disease treatment. And if what she told me was correct, and she was pretty spot on about all of my symptoms and things like that, but if what she says is right, then I can expect to continue deteriorating and getting worse and worse. So that means losing more weight, just becoming more and more sick. So of course that and being dropped by my doctor just sent me into a tailspin completely. And I had a really rough ending to last year and a very rough beginning to this year. I was really at probably the lowest point that I've ever been in with this disease. Technically, I don't think they can drop you, but I mean, there was no point in me going. I mean, I should have left her a long time ago. She's, people either love her or hate her. She's gotten a lot of people better. There are people that say she's a genius. She's one of the best docs out there. One of the best Lyme physicians out there. And then there are people that say she's a horrible human being. And I'm actually, I actually have both opinions. I do think she is a great doctor. She's just a horrible person. And that, unfortunately, just because you're a doctor doesn't mean that your personality doesn't get in the way. And that's kind of her biggest issue. And I might do a separate scope about that, but I don't really want to talk about her too much because it is a huge trigger. And we're going to talk about triggers today. So what I wanted to sort of touch on was the topic of suicide. Or suicidal ideation, which is basically suicidal thoughts. It's a fancy term for suicidal thoughts. So after going through what I went through last year with her, and of course starting this year without a doctor, without any hope of anything, I was really in a bad place. And I was just at a super, super low point. I would just start, I would be talking to my mom and just spontaneously start crying. And I'm not a crier. I don't like to cry. I rarely, you will never see me cry, basically. And, I would just have episodes like that. And, it was just horrible. Waking up with severe panic, waking up with a horrible sense of dread, like my life is never going to change. It's going to be like this forever. And it's just horrible. It's a horrible, horrible feeling to wake up like that. And then just to look forward to going to sleep. Like my favorite part of the day was just being unconscious. I did not want to be awake I did not want to have anything to do with just reality at all. And then something else happened, which I also can't get into, and that got me out of my head. It got me out of my head. I had a distraction, and suddenly there was something, else distracting me, and I started to realize that sometimes what you need is just to constantly stay distracted. And then that distraction went away, and lately I've started to get a little scared again that I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole of depressive thoughts and just being totally unable to cope with my situation. I'm not there yet, but I do anticipate that day might come in the next few months. Especially if I see another doctor. Every time I go to the doctors, I come back and it's just, the same thing over and over again, just feeling horrible, feeling that sense of dread. And to me, my life was over. This doctor, exactly, don't anticipate. Exactly. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I don't believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, though. Yes. And that's the thing, too, is changing your perspective. But I think people that are suicidal, it's really, really hard to change your perspective. You can't just... I think that's based on CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And when you're suicidal, that doesn't help. And I've actually learned this recently because I've been researching certain mental health conditions that are high risk for suicide. And they don't respond well to CBT, which is just changing your perspective or putting a different spin on it. I have tried doing that, and I do try to do that every day. Basically what I thought was, okay, I'm going to die. This doctor's basically told me, you're going to get worse and worse and you're going to die, which is very possible. But, it's May and I'm still here. So I don't think that death is in the immediate future. But because of how she behaved, towards me, I totally thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. She's, basically that's, what she's predicting or what I can put together from, her prognosis, I guess. But people with chronic illnesses are super high risk for suicide, and people with certain types of mental illnesses. So I started kind of looking into that and looking into, how do you get out of that? And yesterday we talked about some things, you can do to get yourself out of that. But there's also things that are more specific to suicidal ideation that can help. And I'm not saying that these are foolproof. By the way, I just want to put a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm a patient. I'm a sick person. I'm, a disabled person, but I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist or any kind of doctor. So if you do feel suicidal, call 911. Don't sit here and watch me and think that I'm going to be able to fix this. Please call 911. Do not sit here and listen to me if you're really in the thick of it. But for those of us that aren't in the thick of it yet, but we probably will, I think any person with a chronic illness or that suffers with chronic pain, chronic fatigue, or a mental health condition, which is also a chronic condition because it's with you every day, we have moments when we're okay. Like today, I'm more or less okay, but I can tell that probably I won't be in a good place maybe in a few months, maybe next week, maybe tomorrow. So when you're in a good place, I think that's the time to start preparing for those moments when you won't be. And like I said, if you have a chronic condition, 9 times out of 10, you will be in a bad place. So it's best to prepare for that when you're not, or when you're, more or less functioning. So I found something. Let's see, I found some stuff. I don't know where to start here. So just a few things about suicidal thoughts. So there are 5 things to do 5 things to think about when you're having a suicidal thought. Number 1, promise not to do anything right now. So tell yourself, okay, I'm going to wait 24 hours. If I still feel like this in 24 hours, I'll come back to this thought. Or I'll sleep on it. I feel really bad right now, but I'm going to sleep on it and we'll see how tomorrow goes. And I think I've done this unconsciously, where I feel so horrible that it's like, you know what, I'm just tired right now. I'm going to get some sleep. And then I wake up the next morning. Sometimes I feel better, sometimes I don't. Sometimes you just have to push through it and say, okay, I'm just going to wake up tomorrow morning. So that's number 1. Number 2, avoid drugs and alcohol. I'm very fortunate in the sense that I don't tolerate most drugs and alcohol. I can if I force myself, but it's very unpleasant. I know that there are some people with Lyme disease that can still tolerate drugs and alcohol. They can tolerate very heavy painkillers and drinking. And to me, that's pretty dangerous, because I think if I could still drink or take, certain types of pain pills, I would be doing it. I would be doing it more than I should. But I'm lucky that I don't tolerate them very well. They upset my stomach. I have all kinds of weird side effects. And it's very, very unpleasant. But you need to avoid drugs and alcohol because it just facilitates the suicidal thoughts. It facilitates the suicidal thoughts, and it also takes away, yes, painkillers and alcohol can cause and trigger anxiety. I think they can even cause it, to be honest. Yes, I can't drink any types of coffee, anything with caffeine. I can't do it because it just makes me, I just go into severe panic. Even a little bit of dark chocolate won't let me sleep at night, and dark chocolate has caffeine in it. Number 3, make your home safe. So keep any kind of dangerous, scissors, knives, whatever, anything that can hurt you, keep it away from you. Bottles of pills, of painkillers, get rid of them. Don't have them in your room. Don't have them anywhere. These are things that those of us that have chronic pain, we do this, and it's our exit strategy. And to be honest, getting rid of these things is probably the safest thing to do. It's difficult if you have really bad chronic pain because you need the painkillers. In that case, I would just give them to somebody, to your mom or a trusted person, and say, you know what, only give this to me when I'm in pain, and only give me one. I think that's actually probably a better strategy for those of us that do have chronic pain. Because sometimes you do need painkillers to get through the day. Number 4, take hope. And this one I think is just kind of unrealistic sometimes. It's hard to feel hopeful when you're hopeless. So it's sort of a paradox. But it says, just take hope. People do survive. I did survive the end of last year. I survived the beginning of this year. Other things will happen in your life that will take you out of your head. I did not know what was going to happen this year. Some big things happened this year. Not great things, but they were things. It was still something. And my life, became very, I guess, kind of exciting and then kind of weird at one point. But it was something apart from my illness. And that took me out of my head. So you never know what can happen tomorrow. Something, I don't know, you could win the lottery. I don't know. Something big could happen. And you never know. You never really know. I never would have predicted the beginning of this year based on the end of last year. I never would have predicted it. And I can't predict probably this summer, anything that's going to happen this summer based on what happened, a few months ago. So you never know what awaits you tomorrow. So just take hope. Something great might happen, or something fun, or something different. Just anything could happen to get you out of your head. And number 5, this I think is, this one's a tough one too. Don't keep suicidal feelings to yourself. So basically tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your therapist, tell your psychiatrist. I think this is hard, especially for those of us that don't have family support. I can't imagine going to my mom or my sister and saying, I feel like I want to kill myself. They would probably just laugh or roll their eyes or ignore me or change the subject or something. So I would say tell a trusted friend, tell someone that you trust and someone that is kind and receptive. Don't just, if your parents are like mine, they're not going to care, or they're going to care very little. Well, you can tell me would give you my number. Okay, yeah, and I can also reach you through Twitter as well. So that's good to have someone that you can trust. Also, too, my only concern with that is that you also have an illness. So I guess my recommendation would be a trusted person that's also healthy, because I don't want my my thinking to sort of affect your thinking, especially because we're both in a vulnerable place. So that's, I think, an additional recommendation. These suggestions I found online, and they're for people in general. They're not necessarily for people that are chronically ill. And I think they need to be modified to be more specific to people that are chronically ill. Because obviously, if I go to, a Lyme support group and I'm telling them, gosh, I hate my life, I hate this, I hate that. We're all in there. In my case, I can handle it, but I see your point. Yeah. You go into a room full of sick people and tell them that you're sick. It might make them feel worse. I know every time I go to Lyme support groups, I don't feel any better. I walk out of there feeling, just as hopeless as when I walked in there. So that might be sort of, there's a fine line there, and you don't want to you don't want the other person to lose hope just because you are, especially when you have the same disease. So that's the only modification I would do there. Other things you can do, and we talked about this yesterday, talk with someone every day, preferably face-to-face. So a person, a live person. Make a safety plan. When you are feeling really, really bad, have a safety plan. Basically, that's calling 911, going to the emergency room, going to to whoever is in the house with you and saying, I feel like I'm going to kill myself right now. Somebody that you trust. Make a written schedule and stick to it. I think this does help a lot. I'm a very routine person. I have a routine every day. And I stick to my schedule whether I'm feeling great or whether I'm feeling horrible. And there are days, I had days when I was like, I don't want to go for my walk. I just want to sit at home and wallow in this. But I would force myself to get out and go for my walk. And it sucked. It wasn't as fun as it usually was, but I did it anyways. And also, too, I kind of feel the opposite of that would work as well. Hi, Grateful Fan. Welcome. So having a routine and a schedule and sticking to it, but also shaking it up a little bit too. Maybe 1 or 2 days in the week, do something out of your routine. Hi, how are you? One thing that I've been doing lately is, like yesterday, there's a Starbucks right around the corner from my house, and it has actually an outdoor patio. It's really, really nice. It's a new Starbucks, and I just walk there. I walk there in the evening before the sun goes down, and I'll stay there maybe 30 to 45 minutes. That's where I do, my prep for my Periscope, every day. And I've been doing that. I don't do it every single day because, I need to be at home and I need to be on my oxygen. But I do it, and it's right around the corner. And I can go there, whenever I want. It's so close. And it's convenient because I can sit outside, and not expose myself to the light. So I've started doing that and actually pulling myself out of my routine. And I think that's, kind of a big thing for those of us who are stuck at home and who are disabled. We need to just get kicked out of our routine every now and then, not all the time. Because I think if you don't have a routine, that also tends to send your life into chaos when it's already sort of chaotic. Get out in the sun, like I said, get out of your house. I have a big backyard with a pool. I can tell you there are weeks when I never see the backyard, um, because I just don't leave the inside of my house. But I try to make an effort, like my sister's dog, she loves to go outside, but the only way she can go outside is if we let her. So every day, I take her outside for at least, 10, 15 minutes, and I stay out there with her while she's there. So I try to do that. I'm not always successful at doing that because I get so stuck in my routine that I just stay inside the house all day. Make time for things that bring you joy. So if you enjoy painting, make time for that. One thing that because I've been so busy with the Periscope thing and also, sometimes watching other people's Periscopes, I've just gotten so deep into it that I've stopped reading. Start coloring. If you enjoy coloring, start coloring. I'm not a fan of coloring, but I did it because it was something different. And it was something that I hadn't done in years. And it's okay. I'll do it every now and again, but I'm not a fan of coloring. I actually like reading a lot. And lately I haven't had the chance to. All of my magazines are piling up. I bought some books. They're piling up. I haven't gotten around to it because I've been busy doing this and actually been busy doing stuff that really I don't really need to do. Hi Sam, welcome. Like watching other people's Periscopes. When I'm feeling, not as light sensitive, I will watch people's Periscopes or at least listen to their Periscopes. And to be honest, I don't really need to, and I probably really shouldn't because hi herbalist, welcome, because I'm exposing myself to the light, and it's just something that I really probably shouldn't be doing, and reading is actually probably more fulfilling for me, so I've been trying to get back into that. I tried to do some reading last night, before I went to bed, but I've just been getting so busy that I don't make time for that, and I really need to make time for that as opposed to, watching silly people on Periscope, because sometimes I'm not watching anything that's really enriching. I do watch a few therapists on here though, and I highly recommend, if you guys like to watch or listen to therapists, there's a few on here that are really great, and they talk about anxiety and depression. Twilight that blocks blue lights from your phone. Yeah, my light sensitivity is not, it doesn't have to do with the color of the light. It's actually the type of light. So LED and fluorescent lights. I have two other broadcasts that are saved on here. You can go look at those, and I have a very in-depth explanation of my light sensitivity. Yeah, I can try it. I'll definitely try it and see if it helps. It might help a little bit. It might help to diffuse the some of the light sensitivity. And then the last one is remember your personal goals. So if you had a personal goal before you got sick, you should still have it, unless it's like something like running, a 5K or something. Obviously you still can't do that, but still have a personal goal. I'm trying to think if I have any. I don't think I have any right now, but I started a blog, so that's kind of my new goal is to do this blog. This was a short-term goal, doing the scope a day for May for Lyme Awareness Month. So I'm trying to focus on that. Hi, Rambo. Welcome. So I'm trying to focus on that, and having that personal goal has helped me a lot to get out of my head, and it's helped me to sort of forget some of the crappy stuff that happened earlier this year. Not much, Rambo. Just talking about, we're talking about suicide. So it's kind of a serious topic, but we're trying to be lighthearted about it. So here are some things to avoid. We talked about alcohol. Oh, I'm out of here. Okay, Rambo. I'll see you later. Things to avoid: being alone, alcohol and drugs. We talked about that. Doing things that make you feel worse. And I've been guilty of this. Putting on sad music to kind of induce crying. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. It's only going to make you feel worse. Thinking about suicide and other self-harming thoughts or other negative thoughts. It can help some people. Smoking weed can help some people. It doesn't help me. I have a prescription for it. Doesn't help me. Doesn't do anything for me. But some people really do. I mean, drugs really do help them, I guess. But if you're really suicidal, I probably wouldn't recommend that. Being alone, also, I've started to become afraid of being alone. And that was, I don't really have a choice to be alone. I know, right? But I don't really have a choice but to be alone during the day. Hi, Mr. Astonisher, welcome. But like I said, I can always walk to Starbucks and not be alone. There's always people sitting there. I can go to this shopping center that's nearby that has a lot of outdoor seating. I can go there and not be alone. It's just getting out the door and doing it that's the hard part. Don't look at old pictures, old letters, all that kind of stuff. Yes, grateful fan. It's good that it helps you. If it helps you, that's great. Yeah, we're talking about death and suicidal thoughts and chronic illness. I have late stage Lyme disease. If marijuana does help you, then more power to you. It's actually, it can help your immune system. It can help your mood. It did not really do anything for me. You know what? It's funny that you say that, Rambo. You ever try eating it for pain? I can't eat it, unfortunately. Yes. Hi, Pluto. Welcome. Yesterday, I had a list of things you can do to make you feel better, and having an orgasm was on that list. So, try it. Don't knock it till you try it. I'm not going to give any personal examples or anything, but yes, looking at old pictures, reading old letters, all of that stuff can really send you into a tailspin. But yeah, the whole sex thing, hey, if you can, go for it. I don't sew, but I started taking up knitting. Yes, mentally, a lot of things can mess you up mentally. Recovery. Identify your triggers and situations, like we were talking about, looking at old pictures, looking at old letters. For me, going to certain places is a big trigger. I used to work in Long Beach, and for some reason, now when I think of Long Beach, that's when I started getting really, really sick, when I was working in Long Beach. And now the thought of going to Long Beach, it gives me this weird sinking feeling in my stomach. Why? I don't know, but it gives me this weird sinking feeling. So I don't go back to Long Beach. It's really bizarre. Okay, you never had suicidal thoughts. That's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, you want to accomplish things. Go to Short Beach, right? Yeah, I can still go to Huntington Beach. I can still go to Newport Beach. I just can't go to Long Beach because I used to work there, and that's when I started having my worst symptoms. So I avoid going there, even though it's a beautiful city. There's so many things to do there. Hopefully one day I'll go back there again, but for right now, it's just such a huge trigger for me. So identify your triggers and situations and avoid those. A bucket list. Yeah, you can make a list of things you want to accomplish and just little by little do them, Take care of yourself. Don't forget your hygiene. Don't forget to sleep. Don't forget to eat. Yeah, looking back at your old life. Don't do that. Don't look back at your old life. I avoid doing that at all costs. Take care of yourself. Eat a snack. If you're feeling hungry, if you're feeling shaky, eat. Craigslist app, bucket list. Don't forget to get some kind of exercise. Yes, memories. Memories are really, it's a tough one. Build your support network. This one is hard for me. Finding friends that are going to be supportive. Yeah, I don't look at my past. I just try not to think about my past at all. Have good friends, quality family, people that you can talk to. This is the place where I have the biggest issue. I just don't have that support system, unfortunately. And I'm trying to have that support system, but it is hard to find good friends and family that understand, because some people just don't want to deal with this. Develop new activities and interests. Yes, I have more acquaintances than I do friends as well. New activities and interests. Like I said, I started a new blog. That's my new activity. You're my friend? Okay. I'll call you whenever I need to. I started this blog and it's something new. I'm not going to scream at you. No, I won't scream at you. I have a link to my new blog on here. It's sort of still under construction, but it's something that's going to get me out of my head. It's going to get me out of my house. Going, taking pictures of places, and just posting them on my Tumblr. It's simple enough, and it's something new and different. Learn to deal with stress in a healthy way. And so now I'm going to segue to the next thing. So learning to deal with stress in a healthy way. There is this thing I found, and it's called a coping skills toolbox. So, this is something that I found online. It's part of a type of therapy called DBT therapy. And I talked about that a little while ago. CBT is cognitive behavioral. DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. DBT was developed for people that are chronically suicidal. Okay, see you later, Mr. Astonisher. Rambo. I'm going to block you, Rambo. So DBT was developed for people that are chronically suicidal. So people that have borderline personality disorder, people that are bipolar, or people that are just chronically suicidal. So this is an exercise, well, not really an exercise. It's sort of like a technique that is for people that have these severe suicidal thoughts and things like that. So it's called a coping skills toolbox. You can actually use a real box if you want, but I'm just going to use an envelope for today. Coping skills toolbox. I just said scoping skills. So basically, you're going to make, this is how I did it. You can do it your own way. If you want to use a box, if you want to actually make, make it more colorful or whatever, you can do it your own way. So there's five things that are going to go in your coping skills toolbox. The first one is mindfulness. So on your mindfulness card, you're going to put meditate, ground yourself, yoga, breathing exercises. So, is this funny? So that's going to go in your coping skills toolbox. So you're going to stick that. It has the 4 exercises on it. These go under the title of mindfulness. You're going to stick it in your toolbox. The next one is emotional awareness. Unicycling. Unicycling can go under physical activity. Emotional awareness. You're going to chart your emotions. You're going to journal. Or you're going to do some art. Drawing, painting, but it has to do with your feelings. Yes, you can also put that on here. Go to my mindfulness app or whatever. That's going to go in your coping skills toolbox. The next one is distraction. What are you going to do to distract yourself? Puzzles, books, art, crafts, knitting, crocheting, whatever fun activities you can do to distract yourself. Throw it in your coping skills toolbox. Crisis. If you're in crisis, what can you do? Talk to a friend or family member. Talk to your therapist, your psychiatrist. Call a suicide hotline. Go to the ER, call 911. That goes in your coping skills toolbox. Self-soothing. Or have a friend like me that's always making jokes. There you go. Call your friend that's always making jokes. I have a friend like that too, that's always making jokes. And he's also very chronically ill. He does have an illness that is, pretty bad. He's on the lung transplant list. But he's also very, very funny. So, I could talk to him. Humor is a coping skill. Self-soothing is the next one. So this is going to engage your senses. What's your illness, Rambo? Something to touch, something to hear, something to see, something to taste, something to smell. That goes in your coping skills toolbox. And the last one is opposite action. What do you feel like doing right now? Oh, I feel like killing myself. Well, then do the opposite. Don't kill yourself. That's kind of an extreme example. Let's do something else. I feel like drinking. I feel like having a drink right now. Do the opposite. Don't have a drink. Or don't have alcohol. Have a non-alcoholic beverage. That's pretty clever. Yeah. Some of these things are pretty interesting. And if you're having a negative thought, I hate myself. I hate how I look. Do the opposite. Use an affirmation. I love myself. I like the way I look. Exactly. I'm scared of going outside. Say, I'm not scared of going outside, and then go outside. And then, of course, like we just mentioned, something funny or cheerful. Talk to a funny friend. Watch a funny YouTube video. So that goes in your coping skills toolbox. When you feel bad, reach into your toolbox, shuffle them around, and pull one out. Crisis. And, crisis, I don't know if you want to do that one right off the bat. But if you really feel like you're in crisis, do one of those. So that's your coping skills toolbox. And that's, like I said, that's for people that are chronically suicidal. You got diagnosed with thoughtness? Yes, you definitely are, I must say. So that's your coping skills toolbox. Like I said, you can use a box. You can use an actual box, and you can put your, knitting needles and your yarn in here. You can put your, your phone or something, and then just shuffle around in there, and whatever you pull out, you have to do that. And that's going to help you get through the day. So that's something that I recently came across, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought that it was really a good method to use. So the last thing I'm going to mention that also has to do with coping, and also I found this online, is a list of coping thoughts. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read the coping thoughts. You can have this, you can print it out and post it up somewhere when you're feeling down. Post it up in your room where you can see it. That way when you're feeling down, you just look at it and you start reading it, and you start to realize, I can get through this. Thank you for the hearts, by the way. So, list of coping thoughts. Mistakes happen. Nobody's perfect. This situation won't last forever. You've already been through many painful experiences, and you've survived. This too shall pass. Your feelings are like a wave that comes and goes. Your feelings might make you uncomfortable right now, but you can accept them. You can be anxious and still deal with the situation. You're strong enough to handle what's happening to you right now. This is an opportunity for you to learn how to cope with your fears. You can ride this out and not let it get to you. You can take all the time you need right now to let go and relax. You've survived other situations like this before, and you'll survive this one too. Your anxiety, fears, sadness won't kill you. It just doesn't feel good right now. These are just your feelings. Eventually, they'll go away. It's okay to feel sad, anxious, and afraid sometimes. Your thoughts don't control your life. You do. You can think different thoughts if you want to. You're not in danger right now. Confront your problem with a confident attitude of, so what? This situation sucks, but it's only temporary. You're strong and you can deal with this. So I thought that was a really, really cool list. My favorite one is actually, this is an opportunity for you to learn how to cope with your fears. That's actually a really cool one because it is an opportunity, and in that moment we don't think about that, but if you really take advantage of it, it's like, okay, I'm scared to death right now. Let me use some of these techniques. Let me use my coping skills toolbox. Let me read this list and see if it helps. You are not your thoughts. Exactly. You are not your thoughts. Definitely. That's very, very true. So these are really great. This was the first time I actually read through the list. I hadn't even read all of these yet. So this is really cool. So that's a list of coping thoughts. So that's about it. That's all I have for today. I did order a book based on DBT therapy. It's called the DBT Therapy Workbook, When I get it, I'll probably do another scope on that as well. I'm going to read the book first, and then, I'll fill you guys in on that. I thought it was, when I started learning about DBT therapy, I thought to myself, where was this therapy when I needed it? Thank you for the hearts. So I'm really starting to look into DBT therapy. I don't know if my therapist is a DBT therapist, but at least reading about it and reading up on it can be really helpful. So visit my YouCaring page, youcaring.com/Marisol Has Lyme. Share it with everybody. I'm accepting donations until the end of May. Check out my YouTube channel. I put the link in my bio. Check out my Tumblr. It's sort of still under construction. My Tumblr doesn't have anything to do with Lyme disease, really, so it's just something different. Follow me on Twitter, hotsun100384. You can ask me questions through there if you want. There's a lot of stuff there. Check out my bio. It has all the information. And I'll be back tomorrow with another topic. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the jokes. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.